Hey everybody, my name is Rob Woodbridge from untethered.tv. What you're about to see here is a short clip of a much longer episode. It can be found on untethered.tv. So if you really are interested in this, go to untethered.tv, do a search for this title, and you'll find it there. But enjoy this short clip. What phones do you guys use? Is there an application on your phone that is kind of up there with your own, with Like, you know, where do you spend the other time inside of your phone, and what apps do you use? So are you an iPhone? You guys are iPhone, obviously, because
we're both on iPhone.
Okay. Did you go and stand in line for the 5S, or is that on?
No, we got a couple on order though.
Okay, yeah.
I will admit to having been an Android user in the past.
It's okay, you know, we're fine with that.
No, I actually really like Android. I miss it in a lot of ways, but
my apps are pretty much all my work productivity tools. So we run FlowDoc. That's how our product team.
Love it. Yeah.
So I have two FlowDocs. One with like kind of the marketing, PR, biz dev side of the company, and then the product team, which is about split in half. We'll be 10 people by the end of next week.
That's great.
Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, mail, and phone.
That's it.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, I have a ton of utility apps, and basically every potential competitor that's ever been that's crossed our paths. So like in our market research, I run all of them as well, and it's actually very interesting. Like on the competitive side. There's like been small wins from each niche product that we've gotten to use, and everyone's contributed to what we've put out in the market or what we're about to put in the market over the next several weeks with the feature sets that we're going to continue to iterate on. But yeah, I'm pretty boring right now. We're still long hours. We're still typical 15-hour startup days. So it's all, with the exception of Facebook and Twitter, it's all like work productivity for me.
What about you, Dan?
For me, I mean, I think a lot of what and I think a lot of users resonate with this is like the app. What defines the apps I use a lot are what I'm going to miss out on. So like I need to check stuff to make sure I'm not missing out, or like don't miss something big. And so like FlowDoc is big for me because it's like how our products.
Yep.
Yeah. Email is really noisy, and so I try to stay on top of it, but like I don't actively seek it out. Twitter, I try to stay up to date on what's going on Twitter, responding to people and stuff like that. I use Instagram a lot for pictures, and I send pictures over SMS texting a lot. Let me see what else. Google Maps is like. Yeah, I mean, if you're not using it, you're doing it wrong. It's
it's funny. Like I asked that question because it's a great way to segue through like all the deep stuff we're talking about. But it's also like there's utilities, and each one of us uses the same utilities. Like it used to be just email, right? And now email for me is a secondary platform compared to Twitter, and compared to Facebook, and compared to Instagram, and compared to LinkedIn, right? Those are the utility applications that tie into the backbone of the internet. And email now kind of sits over in its little corner over here by itself for a little while, and every once in a while I get in there and I try to check it. But it's funny when I ask this question, and I ask it of everybody. It's those are the main applications.
Yeah.
Competitors over in this folder, and then I've got whatever I'm using for my business, which could be FlowDoc, could be anything, to-do applications or utilities like that. But then the main ones are exactly as you put out there. I'm fascinated.
I also use I've been a Pocket user, which used to be Relay.
I love it. Yeah, Pocket's great.
I've been a user for a long time. So I actually paid for their app long.
You did.
I also use Buffer for social buffering stuff, but which is really helpful.
I'm going to add one to the list too.
Yes.
Apple Maps. I'm pushing and rooting really hard for Apple Maps.
Yeah, it's nice
to figure it out and help them master that platform.
Well, you should do that. Exactly. I think that's
we'd love to. That's my next relationship. I need to get a line started with
the Apple Maps guys. They could use some help.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also interesting to use because I have a couple apps that I'll use it for a little bit, and then you sort of lose the value of it, and then it kind of goes away. And a lot of games fit into that category.
Yes.
So like letterpress is a game that I played with my wife really actively, like addicted for a week, and then just stopped playing it.
I paid for that so I could play like 6 or 7 games at a time, and I haven't picked it up. Right? It's insane, you know?
So that was, but I also like, you know, it's interesting because for me, what gets me to use a lot of apps is actually user experience.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen some of the same thing on our app in terms of like, we want people to be really excited about our product, and like, where they pick up our product and they're one of the first users and they're like, oh my God, I need to share this. Yeah. And, you know, they get really passionate about it and become advocates. And like Dots is another one. That one started off as a user experience project and turned into an actual product. But yeah, so like it's, you know, there's this, it's been interesting from a product perspective to see when I stopped using products that initially I loved.
And if you graph that, you'll see that it's fairly soon after you start using it that you like in the passage of time, it's like these applications are tiny, and I mean I think that's what, you know, why I bring this up is that it's fleeting. You have a certain amount of time to be able to really grasp somebody's attention and keep them, not just grab them, but keep them engaged. And I
think this is one of the things where like, being an entrepreneur, especially in the software space or in the technology space, is unbelievably difficult these days.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have to like, the user's expectations for what the product is going to deliver, how far it's going to deliver it, like how soon, and like how delighted they're going to be using their product and what the user experience is going to be like and all this stuff is ridiculously high. At the same time, it's like the expectations on the investment side for like getting investors and stuff for what your product is like, it's harder to get money. And the talent pool is shot everywhere. I mean, and it's been that way for 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Like, finding a CTO is almost impossible.
Yep.
And like, if you're a CTO, finding a good CEO is, you know, equally difficult in most markets. But technical talent and product and design talent is just like, good luck getting them. I mean, because the problem is you can't get them unless you have. It is like this whole chicken and egg thing. Like, you can't get the talent unless you have money. You can't get the money unless you have a product. You're not going to get the product unless you have talent. I mean, it's like, it's a really, really difficult market.
That's why the weak of heart and the non-entrepreneurial go off and get government jobs, and the entrepreneurs are left to do the hard work, right? Because that's exactly what you guys are doing.
I mean, and it's really difficult because you can't and, you know, given that equation, how do you release something that's not an MVP?
Yeah.
You know, because because you could wait another year and keep developing your product, but then somebody will put you to market. So it's like, it's a tough spot to begin. And then you're working with technologies that are still being worked out. Like, developing mobile apps is a fast-changing space, and people have not got it figured out yet. And like releasing an iOS app, particularly, you know, with like the update cycle and with like what it's like to work with tools and how limited the talent pool is there, and how it's not like working with web at all.
Nope.
Then you know
we have one little bug in our system right now that affects like a tiny percent of our user base, minuscule. I mean, not even like enough for us to go fix it right away, but like not to like lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
And we have a celebrity investor on the hook right now, trying to use the platform. He's got the bug.
Oh, nice.
Which we haven't been able to get enough, but we had the wives over, and you know, we're having like a low-key dinner last night. Sunday night was beautiful weather, and like, oh, it's just good to like totally like recharge for a couple hours. And I got the email, and he wants on, and I'm like, oh my God, like we're talking big investor, like the guy everyone wants in this deal. And he's like, Tony, I can't get on the app, and it's just, like, completely crushed my entire night.
You go one of two ways, right? You go one of two ways. You can jump back into work, or you can dive a little bit deeper into the bottle, right? That's how you deal with the pain.
I think we went both. We went both down that.
Bottle and code. That's a good combination.
But then, I mean, those kinds of problems are the things that you try to avoid. And if you look at the way we've architected our platform, like, I mean, I'm going to give some talks on this probably, but like the way we've designed our API is totally backwards.
Yeah.
The API actually changes based on who's asking for results. And so, like, we can detect, for instance, like if you're on a different version of our app on iOS, you're going to get a different API of the same URL. But we've had to do that, and we actually push display logic to the iOS devices, so we can. The point being that we control as much as possible on the back end and not in the app. And a lot of people have had to do this, but it's like the update cycle is painful.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but because, you know, we could be developing better products, but.
And we're out of control. This specific example. Like we're out of control. We're at the mercy of Apple right now to accept the release, which hopefully they will today.
Yeah. And you can only have one review at a time. Yeah. So it's like, okay, do we accept the current release? Do we try to push out another one? And then it's like,
that's a question that comes up quite a bit, right? But you don't want to jeopardize anything, so you keep in sequence and you prioritize properly.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have you guys back on, like when things slow down. Maybe 2 quarters from now, 6 months down the road. I think it would be very interesting to have you back on to actually hear how things are going. It's just a small update, maybe not as long as this one, but it would be fun to actually sit back and kind of think about what we were talking about here, and 6 months from now, think about what we were talking about here, and see how things are going.
6 months from now, whatever that means, it'll be very different.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and that's what I think it's fascinating about this, is that it will be different based on what you guys have already done in a short period of time with this.